Hey guys, it's Elise and welcome back to My Cupcake Addiction. You guys might have seen the myriad of soda bottle treats that have been getting around, from gummy soda bottles through to soda bottle cakes. I wanted to do my own take because I love a good trend, so I'm going to show you guys how to make a soda bottle piñata. Super simple. All you're going to need for this is chocolate or a coloured candy melt if you'd prefer to do a different type of soda, and candy. I'm doing cola, so of course it makes sense that I would have tiny cola bottle candies, but pick your favourites, whatever you want to stuff your soda bottle piñata with. You're also going to need a skillet, a really sharp knife, try and get a serrated one, and a pair of scissors. Let's get started. This is one of the simplest no-bake things you can possibly make. It's actually my dad's birthday today, so I'm making this for him. Start by peeling away your label, and you want to make sure that you're actually peeling it away rather than cutting it, because your chocolate bottle is going to come out just a fraction larger than this bottle, so you kind of need that overlap space. Now I've emptied out all of my cola, and then I'm going to carefully, so that I keep it intact, just lift away my little ring and set my ring and my lid to the side. And then we're going to cut through the center. You're going to have your tag back over the center, so keep your little tag or wrapper intact as well as your top two pieces. And I found the serrated edge knife the easiest to get through without actually making any creases or crinkles in the bottle. Once you're through a portion of the way, you can use your scissors just to finish it off. Don't worry if these aren't particularly even, but do try to remove any of these little jagged bits. You don't want those scratching up the outside of your chocolate bottle. So I'm just going to trim it off so it's relatively smooth. Be really careful here because bottle plastic is kind of hard, so make sure you're getting rid of all of it so none of it risks getting into any of the edible component of your piñata. You need to make sure that your bottle is completely clean and dry, so give it a really good wipe out. You can't have any liquid in there, it's going to cause your chocolate to seize. Again, be careful here. This little bit of edged plastic is pretty hard, and it is a possibility if you're not careful, you may just cut kind of like a paper cut in your hand. I'm going to put the lid of my bottle back on so it's got something to catch the chocolate, and then we're going to fill. I'll start with this guy. So pour in more chocolate than you think you're going to need. Now I'm just going to roll up around the outside, making sure I've got a really nice thick coating. Perfect. I'm going to let that sit for a few minutes just like that, and then I'm going to repeat that process so I get a slightly thicker coating on to the top half. I also think these would look fantastic in those little, maybe the 390ml bottles or the 600ml bottles as little party favors to take home. This little guy's kind of awkward, so I suggest sitting him just in a cup or something just to let him set, and then we'll give our base a second coat. Again, more than you think you'll need. With this, it's actually best to melt more chocolate. I melted about 500 grams of chocolate. It's best to melt more than you think you're going to need because it's always easier to work with too much than too little. And then you can just place all of your leftovers into a snap seal bag, seal it up, and keep it for the next time you need chocolate. I'll also mention if you're using chocolate rather than a candy melt here, you do want to make sure that it's a compound chocolate, not a couverture. So a compound chocolate does not contain the ingredient cocoa butter, and that will actually allow the chocolate to set at room temperature rather than having to be refrigerated. If you are using a couverture chocolate which has cocoa butter, you'll need to temper it. There are tons of tutorials online that show you how. Then I'm just going to take a piece of baking paper just on a tray or a board, and I'm actually going to flip them upside down and let them set in the fridge. Off to the fridge for about 15 minutes to let our little cola bottles set up nicely. So coming back from the fridge, and that has only been about 15 minutes, I am going to take my top, and you'll see the chocolate's kind of drizzled down a little bit. You can just break that off if you want. And then you just want to put your scissors in underneath very carefully and just create like a little nick. And then you're going to use that to tear down. Try not to handle the chocolate too much here because as you can see it's really quite nice and shiny, and you want to try and keep that shine as much as you can. You only need to take that first little bit off, and then you can take the lid off and pop your top half out. You'll notice I'm handling it from the inside rather than the outside. And the little lid's also fine to touch. And then the same for the bottom piece. So again, I'm just going to pull away any of that. Might even trim it away so it's nice and neat. And then again, a little nick. And we're going to peel this section away. You only need to peel this down to about here just so that we can release that kind of bulbous bottom of the bottle. So Coke bottle's out, and it was actually pretty simple, and I'm going to start heating up my skillet. Now I'm heating the skillet because I want to make sure that my two ends that meet up are really, really nice and flat. I'm going to take this little guy because the top section actually comes out quite a bit thinner than you need for the lid to go on, and otherwise the lid slides down and looks a bit funny. So I'm just going to dip him in some of my remaining melted chocolate just to start bulking up that top a little bit, off to the side to set. Now, knowing that we want to minimize the amount of fingerprints on this, you'll notice I've been picking it up by the inside, just using my hands. I don't want too many fingerprints on the outside, so I'm going to use just a napkin, or a tissue's nice, just something soft, just to hold it so that my oily fingerprints aren't getting all over it. I'm just going to grab my skillet. I'm going to place it straight down and just sort of rub it gently, only for a couple of seconds, until I get a really nice kind of even top. It just flattens it off and makes it a lot neater. And then you can start filling it with candy. I almost feel like this one might have less sugar than the actual soft drink that was in there to begin with. With my candy, I've chosen kind of like some little M&M's candies and then Coke bottles and some larger truffles. But with any piñata, you want to make sure you've got a good variation in candy sizes. The big ones help to fill it up without you having to spend a ton of money, but the little ones give that really kind of nice spill effect when you smash into it, which is the best part of any candy piñata. This is looking amazing. All right, so now I'm gonna take this and I just wanna kind of measure it up. That looks, it's just still not quite thick enough for what I want it for. So I'm just gonna dip it one more time. And then on goes my little ring, just gently onto that chocolate, and then followed by the lid. Now I'm reheating my skillet. I don't recommend leaving it on the heat because you've already got a bit of chocolate in there which can then start to burn. So I'm just gonna handle this one just carefully by the neck. Back down on the hot skillet and let it melt away just a little. And then that melted edge can stick straight down onto our bottle. Push it down so you've got a nice seamless sort of a line. Last but not least, it's time to finish off our giant soda bottle piñata. Make sure that you've got enough chocolate joining together, so don't be too skimpy when you skillet because you need a nice melted edge. And if you see any gaps in the chocolate, you can use a Ziploc bag just to squeeze in a little bit more chocolate, kind of run your finger around it to smooth it off. No one's going to see that section, so it doesn't matter if it's not absolutely perfect, but you definitely want to make sure it's joined so your piñata doesn't fall apart. All right, finally, last but definitely not least, it's time for our label. So I'm just going to paint just a line of chocolate on each side. I also think this would be super cute if you custom made your own label that kind of had whatever soda bottle, but then the birthday boy or girl's name. Line it up nicely at the front. I'm messy, but it's looking so, so cute. It actually just looks like a bottle of cola. So my husband, who's the silent guy on the other side of that camera, insists that I smash these in a bit of a show-stopping way. So here goes. We are about to take our piñatas. You can hear all that candy inside. Ready, set. Oh my God, we have made the hugest mess. There's literally candy everywhere. But somehow I still feel like this is gonna be easier to clean up than if I'd spilled actual soda everywhere. Today's video is super quick, super easy, and really, really fun. And even though it's left me with one heck of a mess to clean up, I think I'm up to the challenge. Thanks very much for watching.